How about that cigar?
How about that cigar?
Well, hi and hello, everybody. It is Tuesday night, our favorite night of the week. Welcome to episode number
78.
Episode number 78 of How About That Cigar Live. Guys, thanks so much for joining us live from the Drew Estate Cigar Studios. As always, we're so grateful that you spend some time with us on Tuesday nights. Take just a minute, share us out to your favorite Facebook cigar groups, and let everybody know that we have gone live. And as always, join in with the comments and the questions as the show goes on this evening. And this week, we want to tell you about Drew Estate's Acid 20 Bronx Zilla. In 2019, Drew Estate celebrated an important milestone with the global introduction of the Acid 20th anniversary. And now the Acid 20 Bronx Zilla, an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade offering that will be available exclusively through Alliance Cigar Company. Wrapped in a creamy, smooth Connecticut shade cover leaf over Indonesian binder and rich Nicaraguan filler, Bronx Zilla is packed with bold flavor and aroma. Each 5x54 Robusto is blinged out in chrome foil and packed in a 20-count box, emblazoned with the Acid 20 logo. For more info, please visit drewestate.com and alliancecigars.com.
I feel like you should say, like, Bronx Zilla.
Yeah, but I can't pull that off.
Yeah.
So I can't pull that off. It's just not me.
Also, when we talk about sharing to our favorite cigar groups, I just want to bring up a little post that I had this last weekend where I was invited in one day to a total of 7 different cigar groups.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
And it's getting a little something.
Yeah.
Coop said, responded and said they have their place,
And I agree.
I
with
totally
Coop.
agree.
Coop's not wrong. They
Nope.
do have their place. So here's, and I agree, it's getting out of control. But I think part of it, this is a byproduct of people not being able to interact with their fellow cigar smokers as much as we want to.
Right. But it's also a product of people not seeking out an already established group.
Right.
We've got a great Minnesota Herf Connection cigar group and very active, awesome.
MHC, cheers.
And I mean, we've seen people try and, invite us to these Minnesota cigar groups. It's like, there's already a thing.
Yeah. So before you go out there and go through the effort and time, because it does take effort and time to start a cigar group on Facebook, do a little search.
Just do a dig.
Search.
Just see what's out there.
See if there's one out there already.
There's probably one out there.
So, so this week, as we normally talk a little sports, the Packers were on a bye week, so my team did not lose, which is fine because we were already undefeated. How did the Vikings do, Garrett? He doesn't want to talk about it.
I want to punch babies talking about the Vikings.
Seems a little extreme.
It is a bit extreme, but gosh dang it.
It was the last second.
Here's what pisses me off. Earlier in the day, Jill said, the Vikings play tonight. Are you going to, get mad? And I was like, no, I'm not going to get mad because they're totally going to lose. They're going to lose. I've already accepted that. Well, and then what do the Vikings do? They come out and make it a game, and they led for majority of the game. They were looking solid. And then in Minnesota fashion, what do?
Please don't ever make that noise again.
They choke.
So I will say congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers on winning the NBA championship.
I want to get Pete in on
we're
this
gonna
one.
Talk, we're going to talk to our guest about that in a little while. I will say this: I'm always happy whenever we see any milestone, regardless if we consider it a milestone or not. I am always happy to see any of those people celebrating with a premium cigar after it's all over. So, it's nice to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And another shout out for, if you're a fan of football and you were watching yesterday, regardless of who you root for, you never want to see anybody get a extremely severe injury.
Sunday, that is.
Sunday, that is. And Dak Prescott took a horrible break to his leg. It was pointing the wrong direction. It was really horrifying to watch. So, thoughts and prayers for Dak and his family, and for everybody.
Hopefully a speedy recovery. I guess from early reports, it is a repairable break.
Yeah,
we'll see. It did not look like it.
It didn't. It looked. I remember back in the day watching the Theismann break when LT hit Theismann, and that's one of those things that I can't watch. I can't watch sports injuries because I see it happen, and somewhere in my brain, something happens in my brain, and I imagine it happening to me. I feel my own leg do whatever just happened to that dude on TV. So,
but LT's response was probably my best. It's one of my favorite responses.
Yeah,
when he goes and visited him in the hospital.
Yeah, he didn't celebrate a play. Well, but even right after it, he didn't celebrate a play or anything. He's waving.
He's waving on.
He's waving medical on.
But when he goes to visit Joe in the hospital, and Joe says, T, you broke my leg in 3 places. He says, sorry, Joe, I don't do anything half-ass. I mean, that is awesome.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
I love it.
All right, let's not waste any more time this evening. Let's get into our special guest segment. As always, guys, special guests are brought to you by Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com. They are the internet's largest and easiest to use virtual cigar store. Corona Cigar Company offers you the finest handmade cigars, humidors, and cigar accessories at the absolute lowest possible price. You'll also find unique and limited cigars containing Florida sun-grown tobacco. As a proud American, President and founder of Corona Cigar Company, Mr. Jeff Borshowitz, believed it was possible to bring cigar tobacco farming back to Florida. At Corona Cigar Company and coronacigar.com, you'll find the best selection anywhere in the world of cigars containing this special Florida sun-grown tobacco. If you live in Florida or are just visiting, be sure to visit any of the great Corona Cigar locations in downtown Orlando, Sand Lake, Lake Mary, and also the Davidoff of Geneva Lounge in Tampa. For more info on all of that, please visit coronacigar.com and floridasungrown.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to How About That Cigar, live from Tatuaje. Pete Johnson, welcome to the show.
Pete!
What's happening, guys?
Loving life, loving every second of it, and grateful to have you on again, and just looking forward to having a good time talking about whatever the hell we feel like tonight.
I have to say one thing.
Do it.
Thank you for reading your advertisement way better than Coop. Just saying.
Ouch. Ouch. Ouch.
Hey, Will.
We love you, Coop.
We love you, Coop. We love you, Coop.
But we'll take the compliments. Awesome. Well, and it's a joy.
It was a great read. I wasn't sure what Borshowitz was holding in his hand, though. Like the picture was kind of awkward because I'm not sure what it says.
It's a logo.
Oh,
it's a logo. It's a logo for something. Yeah.
His B is for his B as honey.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it's got to be for.
But it almost looks like he's about to do a slingshot. Love it.
So I'm glad I didn't see this football player have his leg shattered the other night. That because the Theismann thing, that's something you rewatch and you feel like you got kicked in the nuts, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say that on this show, by the way?
It's a very similar injury in how it happened and everything. Theismann was right out sacked where Dak was actually running for positive yardage. But the tackle and how it happened in the rolling,
it was just unfortunate. It's just the direction that everything pointed when weight started to fall on his leg, and it was just it was bad.
You don't have to describe it. Thank you very much. Let's move on.
In Deadpool when he hits Colossus and his hand but
that's funny.
Yeah, but that's hilarious.
Yeah. Well, think about it like that.
So So Garrett and I are firing up the new Karloff. And Pete, tell us what you're smoking and drinking with us this evening.
You know, honestly though, you were smoking a La Riqueza if I didn't see right.
Wow.
We were. Garrett and I always do a pregame smoke when we're doing our show prep and all that. And I pulled a couple of the old. I've got some of the old brown cello La Riquezas down in my humidor that I pulled out for our pregame. So.
Oh yeah, lovely.
So
I'm actually smoking a prototype to something that we released. I want to say 5 or 6 years ago, if I remember correctly. And we're going to re-release a batch of it next year.
okay.
It's what we call, or what Dan Welsh calls, a Mansdale. It's a long Lonsdale. And then I'm drinking Michael Jordan's tequila, celebrating that he's still the GOAT.
Amen.
Amen.
Cheers to that.
Let's talk about it.
Because LeBron's got 3.5 stars.
Well, 3.5.
Man,
LeBron's got 3.5 out of 10 stars in my book.
Exactly right. Yeah,
and Michael Jordan has 11 out of 10 stars in my book.
There you go.
But that's just me. So
He goes to 11.
For those of you watching, if you can see here, I don't know why. I'm not one who usually sits on stuff and lets it collect dust, but for some reason I just never opened this bottle of the Saints and the first release of the Saints and Sinners Willet. For some reason I just never opened it. And tonight
it ages so well in the bottle.
Yeah, it ages so well in the bottle. And tonight I was I should probably open that bottle. So
should I let that whiskey sit for a while because it's going to age, right? No,
yes.
dude.
It'll take on. It'll actually
age
in the bottle. Yeah.
It will actually age differently though once you get some air in it. So 6 months down the road, after you drink, I don't know, a couple glasses out of that, it will taste a slight different to it, but not right now.
Well, it was between this bottle of the Saints and Sinners Willet or a new bottle of the Balvenie Caribbean Cask 14 year that I just bought.
Oh, that's a fun one. And
I love scotches that are finished in rum casks. There's something about the combination of the sugariness from the rum cask and the earthiness from the scotch. I think that works awesome.
You know, I just did a Zoom herf with a group from Scotland, actually the UK, not just Scotland, but the UK. And they paired one of my cigars with a whiskey called Deanston. And they sent me like 3 little bottle samplers to drink while it, like the deal was you could actually sit down in this herf with me, smoke the cigar and drink the whiskey at the same time as everybody else, which was fabulous, right? You guys went severely blurry after all that smoke hit the camera, by the way.
Yeah, you really clouded that.
So they just, like, I guess Scotland just approved, like, because they want to progress the whole whiskey thing, obviously more than it's already progressed over the years. They just finally approved the ability to use tequila barrels in finishing whiskey in Scotland. It was never allowed before.
Huh.
It's like it's actually a recent thing. I don't know how recent, but it's a recent thing.
I'm actually glad they opened it up to that, but now that you mention it, I never even thought about it. But if you go back and you think of all the different types of barrels that they've used to finish whiskeys, I can't remember ever anybody using a tequila barrel. So that would be, I would love to try it.
I think rum, I don't know how long ago rum started with it, but that was another move that they made because, early on it was like sherry barrels. That's it.
Yeah.
And eventually they moved on.
It's the same. The Balvenie Doublewood 12 year is finished, in the sherry casks. And I like that stuff too. I think it's a great scotch, but something about the finished in rum casks is awesome. So Pete, give us, the whole thing with, LeBron and the Lakers. So I'm of a mindset because it's a really strange year, for everything. So, You've got shortened seasons for any sporting events or leagues. You've got shortened seasons and things like that. So, and I agree 100%. When it comes to although I'm not a basketball NBA fan anymore. I used to be diehard, up until maybe 2000 or 2001. But
didn't you play when you were younger?
I played, but poorly.
Oh, okay.
But I was a huge fan, especially in the 80s, Magic and watching Magic and Bird compete was one of the highlights of my youth.
Spectacular.
And then seeing Jordan come into the league in the early 80s and, grow into the greatest player of all time. I mean, it was just fun to watch him progress and see the league progress, and it turned into this big juggernaut of a entertainment, thing. But with this year, being that it's a shortened season for pretty much any professional sports, thanks, Q. I know I'm old, but seeing the shortened seasons and all that, do you think like 20, 30 years from now, people are going to look at champions, whatever teams won their respective championship in 2020 and still put an asterisk next to it?
Well, I mean, maybe, but I mean, I still look at the Spurs season that was short, and it was the asterisk year.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was a Laker fan at the time, being from Los Angeles, and obviously, Phil Jackson kind of dubbed it the asterisk year. Yeah, man, I was a Laker fan. I even said earlier in the year before the pandemic came on, after Kobe passed away, I said Lakers over everybody this year because I figured they would just win it for Kobe, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not really a LeBron fan. I like everybody asked me like, who are you rooting for? I said Miami because I don't like LeBron.
Yeah.
Will I give him props for being a great player? Obviously.
Yep.
I will say his MVP speech was the most humble version I've ever seen him give.
100%.
Yeah.
He finally thanked his teammates instead of thanking himself.
Yeah.
You can tell I'm not a fan.
You're really trying, though. You're really trying to
but
give him.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing I saw today was Kobe. It was a cartoon of Kobe, Michael, and LeBron was sitting there with like kind of a, upset face. And Kobe said, "It took you 6 games to get rid of an injured 6th seed or 5th seed team." And then Michael said, "Congrats on your Mickey Mouse championship."
All right.
Okay.
So I think does it matter? Because when I talk to old school guys about who the best of all time is, you've got a lot of players that come in that, I can look back and watch some of those games and really, Kareem, is obviously needs to be in that conversation. Wilt should be in the conversation. Dr.
Bill
K,
Russell.
Bill Russell. All of those guys deserve to be in the conversation. I think your favoritism really depends on if you were able to watch them growing up. And for me, Jordan was just that. But all of those guys that we just mentioned changed the game one way or another in their time. I think LeBron, I agree, Pete. He's a great player. I just don't think he's GOAT.
Well, I'll say this. I was not a Michael fan. I was a Rodman fan. I wasn't really a basketball fan. I played basketball when I was a kid. I was a Celtics fan, dude. Bird, all Havlicek, players like that. I grew up watching these guys, and I was just a fan of great basketball. Parrish, McHale, Bird.
Yeah.
Those were a big 3 for me. I became a Rodman fan because of the rebellion, right?
Yeah.
I was a musician at the time. Rodman was just this outcast that had already won a couple championships with the Pistons,
Mm-hmm.
and he moved around and I followed him in San Antonio. And when he became a Bull, I was like, I'm a Bulls fan now because I like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I became a Jordan fan because of Rodman, because
I
of
love it.
watching those games, watching those 3 years. I mean, obviously, I saw the first 3 years, but the second 3 years is really where I was really following that, Pippen, Jordan, Rodman.
Yep.
And Rodman, well, actually, Jordan, to me, like I'm a Kobe Bryant fan. I became a Laker fan later on. I'm a Kobe
Mhm.
Bryant fan. I would never tell
Mhm.
the world that, in my opinion, that Kobe's better than Jordan because Jordan's still the GOAT, dude.
Yep.
Bottom line, I don't care. He's still
Yep.
the GOAT.
Pat Foster actually has, I think, the best comment so far.
That's pretty good.
I think they should indeed get a ring pop this year.
Yeah.
Like what color though?
Yellow. Laker yellow.
Laker yellow.
Ring pop.
Yeah, that is just
Hey,
great.
I'm happy to see that they were smoking cigars.
Yeah, that was like I said, I always like seeing anytime somebody wins a championship, if it's out there in the public eye, people enjoying premium cigars to celebrate something, I think it's only good for the cigar culture as a whole.
And you know what?
Let's be honest though, real quick. Let's be honest. They were all smoking cigars because Jordan smoked them first, right?
Yes.
I think Jordan, he was the trailblazer in that.
Yeah.
And I think,
well, I mean, Red Auerbach was the trailblazer. Let's be honest about that. But Jordan really, for the champ, Red Auerbach, he smoked on the court.
Yeah. Well,
the Celtics.
There were a lot of there were even a lot of football coaches back in the day.
Yeah.
In the 40s, 50s, and 60s,
Vince,
that constantly had a cigar, in their mouths, walking along the sidelines during a game.
How cool is that?
I know.
And I also want to bring up, and I don't want to, bring up the brand, but anybody that was pooing on any of those guys for smoking a particular brand when they were smoking it, you know what? That's not what this culture is about.
Yeah.
They were smoking a premium cigar, and it's what they enjoyed.
Were people poo-pooing it?
There were people.
I would poo-poo it just because I wish they were smoking my brand.
Yeah,
but you've got
honestly, let's say this. Sorry, I actually figured that Jeff Borshwitz probably was the one that sold them the cigars, right? So I'm thinking to myself, why the heck weren't FSGs being smoked? Think about that.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good question.
It works. It works. Yeah. It's about the culture. It's about enjoying and lighting up. And hey, the one day that some championship team lights up a Tatuaje, I'll celebrate.
Absolutely. So I want to get into the and talk about the Karloff a little bit, because it's always October's a fun time for people who enjoy premium cigars, especially people who are fans of the Tatuaje brand, because it's fun to see the creativity and the interesting new spin that comes on with the monster release in October from Tatuaje. And the Karloff is it's interesting because it's, in a way, it's goes back to the beginning, but also has it goes back to the beginning, but it also in a way encompasses the whole line, because he was the original movie monster. And yet and we're going to talk about this too. What an interesting guy. I started doing a bunch of research on this guy.
Cigar smoker also.
Yeah. What an interesting cat. He was just a really, really cool guy. And so once you start going through, obviously there's the list of movie monsters, for lack of a better term, is, it's shrinking. So, when you got along to a certain point, when did you decide, okay, we're going to actually do this next one and just call it the Karloff? And how did that come to be?
Well, I did Boris originally.
Right.
And it was part of what we called the actor series.
Mm-hmm.
It was going to be a thing where it was going to be the next year would follow up with a new monster, but the previous year's actor. So that's where Boris and the Drac came into play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I needed an interim cigar, and the Karloff, which is a spinoff of Boris, obviously because the name was a perfect, wedge in between 2019 and 2021, which 2021 is the redux start of number one, which is great for me because I can start Frank number one on a one.
Yeah.
And you
It'll
didn't
help
think
me.
about,
It'll help me count actually.
right. And you didn't think about doing a Pee-wee and then Rubens at all?
I actually, I have a lot planned for next year. I have a lot planned for next year.
I will shit myself. That will be awesome.
No, there will be no Pee Wee or Ruben, but I do have a lot planned for next year. Obviously the Frank's coming back next year, but there are going to be some fun things, and I'm might do another spin-off of the actor series somewhere later in the year, past October next year.
Nice.
So there's stuff already set aside for late 2021.
Okay. And so for the Karloff, for the people who want to know just about the specifics, the rundown, give us the details on the cigar itself.
6 5/8 by 49. It's actually an inch shorter than the Frank. It's actually half of an inch shorter than the original Boris. Sumatra Oscuro wrapper. So Sumatra, Ecuador. Oscuro shade. So higher, a little bit of a higher priming. It's actually stronger than the original Boris. I wanted to give it a nice spin to have it be unique. You also notice that the bands are embossed,
right,
on those. The reason why I did that, I never like to repeat anything with the Monster series identical because I want the original ones to hold their value. 2, I want to make sure that the original ones or the new ones aren't passed off as original ones. So I always make slight changes of everything. That way there's no confusion for the consumer that's buying on the secondary market. Like someone's going to buy this Karloff and someone might try to sell it as a Boris, original Boris. Well, this is shorter. It also has the embossed band. So there's always those little touches that I want to make sure that there's no confusion and the end consumer doesn't get screwed if he's buying on the secondary market.
I've got a couple questions here from a friend of ours, Matt Vegdahl, who wanted to know why all dress boxes this year and no non-dress.
As a, I have to say that the factory probably was not happy that I did them all in dress boxes. But you know what? I just wanted to make it special.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to have that double chase. My wife is waving good night to me.
Good night.
Good night.
I didn't want to have that chase factor, and I wanted everybody to be satisfied with the end purchase. And there's a chance that if I can convince the factory to do it, there's a chance that I might go with all dress boxes moving forward.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But it is a tall order because the dress boxes, depending on the layout and the design, can be significantly more difficult and time consuming to produce and more expensive. So
yeah, I mean, a lot of the guys were saying go with a simple format. Obviously change the colors, but go with a standard format. That way you're not really tripping up everything. And it also changes the boxes.
Yeah.
So there's
And
another change.
And they're not numbered. That probably all went into the deal
Well,
too, since they're all dresses.
I mean, obviously, probably next year I'll number them again. This year we
Okay.
didn't number them, but I'll tell you, there's a straight 4,000 made. So there's a number, and that's all I do. So
Yeah.
it's there's no mystery there. Yeah, I don't know. Moving forward, there's a chance that we do all dress boxes. And honestly, it's become a thing to reward the retailers that are rewarding us.
Right.
What was the breakdown before of dress versus just regular boxes?
Always 700 dress boxes, even though 666 were numbered. There was another 34 that had double X's on them, so I would know that they were part of my collection.
Okay.
So always 700, and it was always the chase of like the undress box and the dress box, and we had a team meeting today, and the comment came up was like, I want the special ones. Well, they're all special. No, I want the special ones. like I don't want the plain one. I want the one with the paint. And like it was like, okay, I get it. There's retailers that like they get really disappointed when they're like, I got one of the dress box and 10 of the plain ones. At the end of the day, it's the same exact cigar going into the box, but there's the Halloween factor. Everybody wants
Right.
the candy wrapped in the same way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and it's there's a collectability factor to it for the people who are collectors and collect, regardless of whether they take the cigars out and smoke them right away and just collect the boxes. There is something about the artwork and the design on those boxes, and I have no problem with having them all be the same, having them all be fully decorated dress boxes. I think it's a cool idea, and it gives that many more people a chance to have the extra special decorated box.
I will say that someone mentioned that it will at least let the guys that have been collecting since day one have their value held
Right.
in those original ones.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm actually kind of scared to ask Jaime the question. So
well, going back to all the releases of the Monster, all the ones that I've smoked, I didn't smoke the original Frank, but going on from there and all the original Monsters, this, you never know where the next release is going to hit your palate. Everybody's got a different preference for particular blends and things like that. Although, I think we can enjoy all kinds of different things, but this blend in particular, Garrett bought us a few of these a few days ago and brought them over to our regular Wednesday night, group herf. And we fired this. I was still finishing my first cigar, and he had already fired this one up last Wednesday. And he just turns and looks at me and just holds up the cigar with wide eyes and starts nodding his head. So I finished my first cigar quickly so I could move on. And, it is one of my, just having smoked it, this is my second one. It is one of my favorite Monster releases so far. And I never smoked the original Boris. I have had the little Boris. But this is one of my favorite, just knowing in this halfway through the second cigar that I've had of this Karloff, it's one of my favorite Monster releases so far.
Very cool.
I like.
I'm really happy with it. A lot of the members from SNS that were down in Nicaragua with us actually tasted them back in February. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I mean, so they've been, sitting for a while, resting, which is kind of nice.
When they taste it, and you guys, if you get a chance, You gotta. I want to echo what Matt said. I've had several of the Monster series, and this is just edging out the Drac for me.
I like that. The Drac. That's an old school pick right there.
Yeah. So this is delish.
Awesome.
The Drac was always one that I liked a lot. I love the Jason a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Jason was popular, really popular.
And
It's hard to find for a while. I finally got my hand. I've only smoked one Jason. I've had a few Dracs.
That's a beast, but honestly, they're smoking amazing right now because they've kind of toned themselves down a little bit.
The Dracs?
No,
The
the Jason. The Drac was actually
pretty medium.
a fairly medium bodied cigar to begin with. The wrapper gave it that little extra bite.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the whole key to the Drac. It was, silent with a bite.
yeah. So obviously we're in the final quarter of 2020, strange year for everybody, dealing with this different sort of reality that we find ourselves in. What have you guys, you and your team, what have you found that you have learned to do differently in order to stay connected with your customers and stay connected with your retailers and things like that during a weird year like this?
Well, I mean, we were doing like regional updates with the retailers. We did them for a little while, and then we had trouble planning a few other regions, but that actually helped a lot. The retailers really appreciated it, and a lot of those retailers stepped up big time this year, and they found other ways to sell cigars. I mean, it's a tough year for everybody to try to manipulate, especially when you're shut down. Like a lot of stores have been shut down, but they've found ways to reach out to their client base. And I've seen numbers from retailers that would, that are still kind of closed,
Yeah.
that are way better than the year before. We've managed to have a pretty amazing year for what we were scared to death of like, okay, let's cancel our month of March and April orders for the factory, and then to the point of running out of cigars. It's been a blessing that we've been able to sustain business pretty well during this time, and to end up having a year that's equal, if not better, than the previous year.
And how has everything been going in Nicaragua with the My Father factory, as far as being able to keep up with production, keeping the employees safe and all that stuff?
Well, Jaime was pretty early on, so you guys can understand a little bit better. The Garcias have a fairly large pig processing facility, and it has to have a very clean environment. If you want to walk into that building, you have to get sprayed down, the whole thing. Jaime implemented that in the factory early on when we started talking about airborne, right? When he reopened was about the same time everybody else reopened. Nicaragua was one of those cigar countries that closed down around the same time. Every factory closed down around the same time and then reopened around the same time. But Jaime made sure that the clean room aspect was pretty hardcore, and he separated the rollers. Everybody wears masks, obviously. He was actually having all the rollers wear masks even before this. So he was a little bit ahead of the curve on a lot of it, but even right now, I don't believe that we're 100% capacity. I think we're about 80% in the factory, but it's still a comfortable number. And we're literally getting product every 2 weeks. So the movement of the cigars has been fairly easy. Obviously, being at a lower capacity, the tables spread out a little bit more, even in the packing department. We were waiting for a lot of stuff to come up, but at the same time, we're producing constantly and receiving constantly. The only difference is right now is anytime it comes in, we would always have a good backstock of everything in our warehouse. We still have a 1 to 2 month backlog of a backstock of inventory on most of the product, on all of it. But now, like, everything that's coming in is moving out as soon as we get it. So that's a new. I mean, that kind of brings us back to more of our heavy boom days, which were around 2013, 2014, where as soon as it come in, it would disappear.
Yeah.
And you're warehousing in Miami, right?
I'm actually warehousing in Los Angeles. We still distribute out of Los Angeles, but we do hold a lot of inventory here in Miami and then shift it to LA. Like, I'll give you a good example. The petite black labels that we made, we moved through a good batch earlier in this year, and we decided to make another small batch, and we have back orders for it already. We just got it in, and we're able to fulfill all those back orders and have a few extra boxes left over. So we're starting to rebuild that inventory slowly. Miami on the other side has been a little tougher because being closed down in Miami for 2 months, there were certain products that we usually have anywhere between 3 to 6 months of back stock waiting. Sometimes in certain sizes, we were up to like almost a year of back stock, just because Miami Brown Label, especially with this FDA thing, Miami Brown Label was one of those things that I could count on because it wasn't going anywhere. I didn't have to register it with the FDA, or not register, but grandfather it. It was already grandfathered. And our biggest problem now is that I think the Made in the USA thing is like booming, because even Dom Pepin Blue label from the Garcias is back ordered.
Yeah.
So all the Made in Miami stuff for us, for both companies, has gone crazy, to where I'm waiting for boxes from our box maker in Miami, and I'm waiting for the cigars to be finished aging before I can box them.
Yeah.
And once they're aged out, ready to go, they're boxed and shipped to LA, and they're shipped out on back orders.
So the Miami production is still going strong.
Still going strong, but we're building our inventory back up. It's been tough to build inventory back up when the sales on that product have actually gone up.
Right. Well,
I think again, retailers are paying attention to this Made in the USA thing like crazy.
Yeah.
I love it because I'm very proud of the product we make here. And honestly, if I could buy everything from the United States, I would.
Yep.
That's just me.
Well, and talking to, a lot of people over these last, 8 months since really everything started going wacko, is people like ourselves, just everyday cigar smokers. And I mean, Garrett and I are outside of the norm. We're big time cigar nerds and go overboard, way above and beyond what the average cigar smoker would. But every level of cigar smoker, from the guy who would smoke one cigar a week to, the guy who would smoke one cigar a day, everybody's averages have gone up.
Yeah,
because there has been on a regular basis for most people more time to smoke, and I think in a way, although it's been tough on everybody, in a way it's been good for the premium cigar industry, because people who enjoy premium cigars have found themselves with a little extra time to enjoy 1 or 2 more cigars a week, or 1 or 2 more cigars a day. Yeah,
I agree. I'll be honest though, I think I've probably smoked less during this whole time.
Oh, really?
Have you?
Okay, that's the first time I've heard that.
It's odd for me, because normally I'd be traveling doing events, and then during events, it's 3, 4, 5 cigars.
Oh yeah.
But when I'm at home, I'm actually like doing projects at home,
Yeah.
like doing random shit at the house, and I forget. You know what? I need to sit down and relax. The other day, I was actually on the patio smoking a cigar, and the wife came home and she goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, I needed to kind of decompress, and that's really what cigars are all about. It's
Yeah.
that time, that moment that you get to spend really kind of, you know, thinking about things and relaxing and not stressing out about normal everyday life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so something that because you and I have talked a lot, but I've never really talked about this particular thing is, are you one of those guys that consider yourself handy around the house or in the garage, working on vehicles or working on projects around the house, remodeling or fixing a light switch or anything like that? Is that something that you do when you have to?
Yeah, I do it when I have to. I mean, the last time I touched an engine on a car was probably 1994. I had to rebuild a Honda Accord engine
Oh,
because I had no other choice.
yeah.
You talk about you go into the junkyard and looking for this smallest part that you could ever think of. At the end of it, I ended up with a few extra parts, very much like Greg Brady. Um, and I went down the alleyway where my buddy worked at this shop, and he said you can use the shop over the weekend to work on your car. And somewhere around Sunday afternoon, I was like desperate, and I went over down the alleyway of all these auto shops, and there was these two brothers that would rebuild like 7 Honda Accord engines in one day. So I was like, dude, can you help me finish this? Like, I was dying. It never really ran correctly, but it ran for as long as I needed it to. Luckily, the cigar industry actually came to it actually saved me because my first job at a cigar store, that's when that car was about to really kind of go kaplunk. And the GM of an Isuzu dealership, Isuzu, whatever they call it, was a client at the store that I worked at. And he's like, go see this guy and he'll hook you up. And that's when I bought my first new car.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it was thankfully the connections in the cigar industry that they've always come to my rescue.
I feel like we need a producer that can do those like VH1 bubbles for all the old references we're putting out, like the Brady Bunch reference and Isuzu. Bloop. This was a company from. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I went out to LA recently. I'm still flying back every once in a while to LA to do some random things, and I went back to LA recently to upgrade the Wi-Fi at the office, to put in a new security system at the office. Finally got rid of ADT, thank God.
Did you go?
By the way, that's the toughest thing you could ever do, is to try to cancel ADT.
Cancel
service.
ADT, yeah.
And then I put in a couple Wi-Fi switches. So I mean, that stuff's easy. But honestly, we have a guy that kind of like, I would say he's kind of like the one guy we count on to do all the hard labor stuff around everybody's houses here in Miami. And right now he's literally repainting our whole house. And I don't want to do that. So I'll go to Home Depot and pick up all the paint. But I'm not going to sit there and try to think that I'm a good house painter.
Yeah.
But also he found a couple problems in our roof, and Miami, of course, you want to make sure you have a good solid roof. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that either. So like the general every day. Like I put up a couple of pictures for my wife today. Like, the simple stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I changed her light bulbs in her closet. Like, because we have a house it's not newer, but it's the technology is the old halogen lights.
Yeah.
And, the light switches are all these crazy Lutron things that don't always work with LEDs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm going to put the LEDs in, but let's see if they flicker when when we turn them on. So it's still, like tomorrow we're going to Home Depot to get more lights and a few rolls of insulation, because I'm going to go up in my attic and put a few more rolls of insulation on top of a few closets where it seems to be really hot and we're getting condensation on some vents.
Oh yeah.
So simple, stupid shit like that I can do. But I don't know. One day I'll probably get into like looking at an engine again.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel kind of the same way. Like someday I've started catching myself looking at cars, not online or anything. I'll just be driving somewhere and I'll see a car for sale, or I'll see some old car that I love and think, man, I should really do that. But
dude, I actually, when I grew up, we lived in a small town in Gardner, Maine. It's a little historic city, but the wealthy family in town were the Prescott family, and the Prescotts own a pipeline company that's all over the northern seaboard. It's called EJP. They've been around forever, and we always used to like see the kid that we were going to high school with drive around in a Tommaso Pantera.
Oh.
So I went down the rabbit hole last night looking at Panteras. But honestly, I'm like, no, I can't do it. Like, I can't even think about it. Like, because that's an engine. Old cars were a thing for me at one point. Like an old, 63 Bel Air.
63 Vet.
I was rebuilding old cars, thinking that this is like something I wanted to get into, and then I realized I wasn't that good at it. So at some point you just go, I'm going to leave it to people that know.
Yeah.
And maybe one day I'll be the guy that just buys a refurbished car.
Yeah, but those Panteras, I just saw one go for like 120 grand.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No,
but they're cool looking, man.
Gosh, they are beautiful.
Yeah, I would love to hear how they sound, because I forget the sound of those things.
Yeah, there's a, not far from here, there's a really nice car show on Memorial Day weekend every year, and for the middle of nowhere, Minnesota, it's actually a pretty big car show, and somebody brought one to the show 3 years ago, I want to say, and it's just one of the most. You see a lot of regular players at car shows. You see a lot of. You see a lot of Corvettes, you see a lot of Chevelles, you see a lot of Novas, Studebakers, that kind of thing. But then to see the really rare cars where there are hardly any of them out there, and seeing a Pantera at a car show now is getting more and more unheard of, to see them out there. And it's so cool to see one that was restored. And this one was in really great shape. Yeah,
they're cool, fun cars. I went to a kind of a car rally the other day with Jaime's son Handy and the kids, and just to look at all the fancy cars, and you roll up to a couple of McLarens and shit like that, and you're like, wow, like,
yeah,
it's a fucking $300,000 car.
Yeah.
Like, some serious muscle right there. But I actually enjoy like looking at the Dodge Hellcats and shit like that, which are badass. What just happened there? The Pantera. There you go. So, they're cool looking, man.
They really are.
I'm always afraid that the lights would never flip up ever again. or maybe you have one light that keeps on
one
doing
up,
this.
one up and one down, or because just about any car that has that technology, the style, the flip up lights, just about any, but unless it's really super high end, they're always going to break.
Dude, and you notice that they've all gone away from that.
Oh yeah.
That was super cool technology when it came out.
Yeah.
And they've all said, what the hell were we thinking?
Yeah.
Just one more thing to break.
Yeah.
And my first car was a 78 Mercury Grand Marquis with didn't have the flip up lights, but it had those flat covers with the logo plate on the front that would just flip up and behind the headlight and then flip back down. Those actually were fine until I wrecked it.
Until I wrecked it.
Yeah, they were fine.
My first car was a 1989 Mercer Scorpio.
Oh,
wow.
If you remember what that car was, it was
pull it up. I want to see it.
So the Mercer Scorpio was the UK's Ford Taurus, but it was a little sportier.
Yeah, that was so that's when.
Oh, by the way, let's jump in real quick. I looked at a Pantera last night, and it had a little placard on the front of the car or the back of the car that said "Powered by Ford," and I thought that was this whole Ford versus Ferrari thing.
Yeah,
has I love that movie. Like I can watch that 100 times and not get bored.
Yeah.
So when I see, Powered by Ford, I always you go back to that time and you're like, oh shit, like Ford was like selling engines to everybody.
Yeah.
And that's how Carroll Shelby got involved with them, because he was buying Ford engines.
Yeah. That's actually the first time I saw that movie was at a cigar shop near here, Sodi's Cigars. We did the podcast a bunch from that shop. And I went there on a random Saturday and just basically spent the whole day there.
Oh wow, so, look at that.
So that was like their UK version of the Taurus.
It was.
They tried to make it look European.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun car, and I had a brilliant idea. So there's a lift bridge in Duluth that is all metal.
Yeah.
You wanted to jump the bridge?
No. So the difference between the Taurus and the UK Mercer was it was rear wheel drive, and would love to do neutral drops. The car did neutral drops great on pavement. However, this bridge has this like metal, and I was like, I wonder what peeling out sounds like on metal. It was the dumbest idea ever. Did
you crash into the side?
No, the second I dropped it, the rear end just went, no, I can't take that. And it was, I totally
shredded the tires.
No, I shredded the rear end.
Oh, nice.
The entire gearbox in the rear end just went.
You know what? Whatever brand of tires that was, you should never buy a different brand of tires, because if they held up to that and it was the rear end of the car that tore up instead of the tires,
it's true.
Those are damn good tires.
Yeah, that was a fun car until it wasn't.
They're all fun cars until they're not.
Right.
Let's briefly talk a little bit, like we mentioned, about about Boris Karloff, the namesake of this cigar. Like I said, I started doing research about this guy. First and foremost, Boris Karloff isn't even his name. It's a stage name.
I forgot the name exactly. It's
so his name is William Henry Pratt.
Yes, thank you.
And he's actually a proper British gentleman. I mean, he spent most of his life in the theater, and then early he was in there at the very beginning, early days of television and film, and he would get parts here and there, and then go back to finding whatever work he could. He'd dig ditches, or he would sell shoes, or he did just about every kind of side job you can imagine in between his gigs as an actor. And then when he gained popularity, it was actually Frankenstein that put him on the map as a household name. He became very famous from that role, and from there it just took off, and from there on he was a sought after name for not only his face on screen but also his voice off screen.
Mm-hmm.
He I'll tell you, if you ever looked at him closely and then look at Dan Welsh closely, they look like I believe that Dan might be related in some way.
That's crazy. I'm looking at Garrett's going to pull up a picture right now, but
see if you can pull up like Dan's like follow sticker, like surrogates follow sticker, and then you pull up I've seen crazy old shots of Boris Karloff sitting in like the makeup chair, and you're like, holy shit, that's Dan.
And it's crazy too, because you find it here, Dan Welsh,
dude. I'll tell you, I went to Paris with Dan one time, and it was Dan's first time in Paris.
Right there.
And he was about, I don't know, 25 yards behind me.
Yeah.
And I just looked back, and this is a long time ago. Probably around, I want to say 2007. And I looked back and I was like, oh my God, it's Frankenstein in Paris.
But he was, there, a lot of people, every year, Christmas time, How the Grinch Stole Christmas comes on, and everybody, sits around the TV with their family to watch it. So that cartoon, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, that was Boris Karloff, that voice. And so for me as a kid, also.
Wait, what do you mean? It's not Jim Carrey?
It's not Jim Carrey. I've actually never even seen that movie because I just can't bring myself to watch it, because for me it's just going to ruin it. The Grinch is the cartoon with Boris Karloff. That's
okay. I know where that picture was taken. Actually, did that? Okay, look up a different picture.
That's a great picture. Wow.
Look up NHC. Oh, there you go. Or NHC follow. Maybe he's got his follow logo. There you go. That's a good version of it. I think it was his dad. There's a better picture of Karloff where he, like a classic picture. Right there, the standard one where over to the right, below that picture that you pulled up, or actually the third picture in the lineup. Go back up. Right, third picture next to Frankenstein. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that really does look like Dan.
Yeah. There's other pictures of Dan that you're like, okay, there's a connection here.
Wow, that's cool.
It really does.
Nice. Well, it's crazy about how this this proper English gentleman comes over to the States and makes his way as an actor, and also as a kid, we had this record player that my brothers and I would fight over for who got to listen to their records. And one of the records we had, and I was really young at the time, so this was in the early 70s. There's this record of the symphony story with the Peter and the Wolf symphony that has the narration through it, and the one was the one with Boris Karloff doing the narration, and
that was my favorite thing ever.
Yeah,
Peter and the Wolf.
It wasn't
really?
Is
the name. Oh yeah, dude. When I was a kid, I listened to that thing over and over again.
Yeah, it was
with the symphony, the whole thing.
Yeah,
I loved it.
My brother
I think I still might have it.
Player, and it was always that record that I would hold that record and say, nope, this one's mine. I'm listening to this one next.
Sorry, I was off. I ended up clicking on our link that I posted, and I had my sound up. Yeah, dude, that I think my parents might even still have that because I listened to that thing over and over again.
Yeah. And we were lucky enough as kids. There was a small small town in Indiana that actually had its own symphony orchestra. Richmond, Indiana, had its own symphony orchestra, and for a brief period, maybe 3 years, my parents had season tickets, which equates to, it's in a small local college gymnasium. It wasn't fancy. This isn't like New York Philharmonic season tickets. It's not the same league, but
Lincoln Center.
Yeah. But they wanted to, my parents always wanted to expose us to as much different type of music as possible. And so we got to see so many different kinds of music there. And one year they did the full Peter and the Wolf with, and I was frustrated. As much as I loved seeing it live and actually seeing the symphony play it live, I was frustrated because I was like, that dude's not the dude. The guy doing it, I was like, that's not right. He's not doing it right. So, because the way Boris Karloff did it was so unique, and I was as much as I loved it, I said, "Mom, he's not doing it right."
Yeah, I grew up in a household that we were forced to listen to, a lot of different things that we would not normally want to listen to. Like I grew up listening to classical music in the house. That was like part of our dinner. That's what was playing in the background. And honestly, one of my favorite movies when I was growing up was Amadeus.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yes. Such a good movie. And I grew up in a hippie house. We, my parents were big concert goers. I went to my very first concert when I was 8 years old. And it was Deep Purple and 38 Special.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure I got high for the first time at that concert.
At 8 years old.
At 8 years old. Just a contact high. But we, probably my favorite concert as a kid was Arlo Guthrie and Pete Seeger. And it was a fantastic concert because two incredible musicians, but Arlo Guthrie was just a phenomenal storyteller, and I'm pretty sure he didn't finish a single song. He would start playing a song, and then it would just remind him of a story, and he would break into story. And it was awesome. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, man. That's the memories of when we were kids are some of the best things. I mean, I think we were lucky. We grew up in a different time, and the culture I think has been lost with this new generation completely.
Sure.
There's no comparison to the shit that we went through or the shit that we did and the stuff that our parents taught us. We try to try to sit down a kid just to watch a movie like The Sandlot is almost like painstaking because it doesn't hold their attention long enough.
Well,
but TikTok somehow does.
My kids like the movie The Sandlot. I'm very lucky in that way. But my kids are very spread out in age. So we're talking 20s down to 11. So. But they like that movie. They actually, I feel ashamed to say this, but I'll say it anyway. As big of a baseball fan as I am, I didn't watch that movie until within the last couple of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it never came across my radar to watch. There were lots of times where I said, okay, I should finally sit down and watch this movie, and I never did until a couple of years ago when basically it was my kids that encouraged me, and so we all sat down together as a family and watched it one night. But yeah, just being able to.
How about the Goonies?
Oh, I love the Goonies. My kids love that. Actually, my kids are also into. We've introduced them to movies like What About Bob and The Three Amigos, and I mean they love those movies.
What About Bob is a classic, man.
Yes,
it's one of those movies that if you haven't seen. But you're lucky, man. I don't think I could sit down any of these kids in this house to watch What About Bob?
I can't. I mean, my
Yeah.
kids won't watch any of the old movies that, and we've tried. The one that failed the most was UHF, which I think is one of the most hilarious movies of all time. But so many, and I didn't realize it, that it uses so many references from pop culture of the 80s that it's lost on, these kids.
But you have to admit, UHF, as much as I like that movie, it's a very specific, unusual shtick kind of humor. It's that sort of tongue-in-cheek style, almost Monty Python sort of style of humor, where if I would have watched UHF at 8 years old, I would have probably hated it. But the fact that I didn't see it until I didn't come out till I was probably a teenager. So, but yeah, I like that movie. So Pete, give us a little bit of an idea too of, in addition to the Karloff release, there have been some other things happening, with the brands this year. So, what else has come out and is still going to be making its way to retailers this year?
Well, I have a couple new Cabai Juan cigars that Cabai Juan turned 15 years old this year, so it was a good way for me to put a couple new sizes in the lineup. Really happy about them. Actually, one of them mimics the size of the Guapo, which is 5 5/8 by 54, and one is a 4 3/8 by 52. I altered the bands for these two cigars specifically to kind of give them a little pop, but I'm really excited to give it a little life. It's a classic blend for us. I mean, the Cabai Juan line obviously is a grandfathered product in that respect, and it would be nice to add a little extra life to the line. So those are coming. We're doing an atelier release coming up in early November that mimics the original three sizes, the 52, 54, 56, but in the darker wrapper.
Okay.
And those are going to be showing up early November, mid-November, in a small quantity that hopefully will become regular production, but we're taking it slow. Everything we did this year was kind of slower and smaller because of the fear of the FDA.
Oh, yeah.
And we had no idea what was going to happen. I mean, we knew that we had all our ducks in a row and ready to go, but we didn't know how the judges were going to come down and say, for now, we root in your favor.
Yeah.
It was one of those scary times for the whole industry. I think it opened up a lot once the judge came back and said, yeah, the FDA needs to clean up their shit before they can start controlling this industry.
Yeah.
So it's just a weight game, really, at this point. They're going to come back. What's your feeling of how that's going to come back and when?
I mean, let's hope that they take their sweet time and the industry can continue doing its thing for the next, at least half a year to a year. But we're still cautious about it. I mean, we're trying to utilize old brands and old sizes as much as possible that we've already registered with the FDA. It's just the whole substantial equivalence thing really kind of was the workhorse that everybody was like, the workload that everybody was fearing. And we were literally like almost ready to start submitting everything. And then the judge came back and said, you don't have to do anything right now. So it was kind of like, okay, let's all grab a cigar and grab a drink and relax for a second.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the stress level around both our office virtually and the Garcia's office was was pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it was the same way for every cigar company.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But
we
we
a lot of people this year.
But we didn't fall into the fear factor of it. There were some companies that were so fearful that they were paying like lawyers astronomical amounts of money to put their SE documents together.
Right.
Luckily, we had a very simple template to go by that we could actually file everything ourselves.
Yeah.
It's just paperwork, really. Did we want to do it? No. Did we have the ability to do it? Absolutely. And if we didn't have to spend some stupid amounts of money to pay lawyers to do it for us, we were going to do it ourselves.
Right.
And we were right on top of it, luckily.
Yeah. Sorry for the enormous truck behind the house. I don't know what that's all about.
Coming to you live from trucking.
From Pete's Truck and Tow.
Yeah.
So what about the? I saw a little something about the new event only Shrunken Pumpkin. That looks. It's. I mean the 3-pack event only cigars are always fun, but seeing a little new twist on it's kind of cool.
Yeah, a virtual event only, actually.
Virtual, okay.
We're actually it's based on a qualifying dollar amount that the retailers are going to set, and for every qualifying dollar amount, you get 5 shrunken pumpkins for free as a gift from Tatuaje.
Nice.
The first one I'm doing is actually with Abe at Smoke Inn on the 28th of October, and then from there. I have like some race car driving behind me right now. From there, it's really about spreading it out and not trying to do multiple events like right in a row.
Yeah.
So I've been getting hit up a lot from retailers like, hey, I want to do an event. I'm like, listen, I really need to spread these out because it's really a consumer thing. And if the consumers are overwhelmed with these events, they're not going to, there's only so many virtual events you can do because a lot of times a lot of the same guys get on them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, there's a core group of guys that are really into the whole virtual aspect. And then there's the everyday smoker that doesn't really give a crap.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're right. And I think that also makes up a lot.
It's probably the majority.
A lot of cigar smokers, as far as total amount spent every year on premium hand-rolled cigars, most of that money is coming from guys who don't buy that many cigars.
Yeah. Yeah, and if they do, they're not part of a club like Saints and Sinners. And,
right.
Yep.
They're not on Zoom
they're
chat.
They're not even on the monthly subscriptions. They just want to, hey, I need to order that box of cigars I like.
Yeah.
They don't even care about the 5-pack. They just want this. They want the cigars that they buy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got a question from a viewer here. Josh wants to know, monsters aside, what is your number one selling cigar and what is your slowest seller?
Number one selling cigar, I would say that the brown label that we do as a group is still our workhorse. Least, like, lowest seller. A lot of our lowest sellers have gone on in hiatus. But wow, that's a tough one because, again, a lot of the slower sellers have gone into hiatus. And we went through our portfolio earlier in the year, especially with the FDA, trying to figure out, okay, what can we absolutely count on?
Yeah.
Because there are certain brands that we absolutely count on and certain sizes within those brands that we absolutely count on. So we've gotten rid of a lot of those cigars that, not rid, we just put them on the back burner for a while.
Right.
Of the cigars that weren't performing as well.
Right.
But when you're looking at the numbers of like Atelier, that's a solid brand for us. But maybe the Torpedo in the Atelier Selection Special was not as popular. So we kind of put that off to the side for a while. And we kept with the core line, which is the 52, 54, and 56.
Right.
Man, I don't know. Slowest seller.
Pee-wee Lancero.
No, yeah, honestly, again, it's a lot of the slower movers we've kind of put to the side for a little while, and we're concentrated on a focused portfolio.
Well, and that makes sense right now because, like you said,
Mhm.
put the in a time like this with when you've got the double threat of pandemic and FDA, you've got to put your resources into your winners, the ones that perform consistently, month after month, year after year.
Yeah, I don't want to bombard the factory with orders of product that we're going to move very slowly. Like I'll give you an example, like this cigar right here, La Mission. Realistically, 3 out of the 7 cigars that we had in the line were performing well.
Yeah.
Obviously, the 1959 is performing really well right now because of the big rating it got. But we went through it and said, hey, we're going to put these other sizes on the back burner. We're going to pick one of the sizes that didn't do as well, but we still want to keep it in the line. So we have at least a 4 cigar lineup out of the original 7. 3 that perform very well, and then 1 that we're hoping will pick up based on a classic size.
Yeah.
So we picked the Corona Gorda, which is classic for us. We do Corona Gordas in most of our lines, but for some reason Corona Gordas have kind of, I don't know, they've kind of sloped off a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is sad because I love them.
Yeah, it's my go-to size. 46 ring gauge is my favorite. So
I will say that Corona Gorda in the black label still is the most popular black label that we make. So
yeah. Out of all the different facings under the lines, whether it's Tatuaje or L'Atelier, is there one that you find you reach for more often than others, and does that go through phases where you'll have three months where you're smoking a lot of a certain thing, or is a lot of your time spent working on prototypes and things like that?
Well, I mean, obviously I smoke a lot of new products. Like I'm constantly getting samples because I'm not getting to Nicaragua. I'm constantly having them send me samples of stuff, but I still gravitate to grabbing a La Mission 59, which I'm smoking now. A little El Triunfador Petit Robusto that we make at the Tacuba factory, which is, I think, one of the best buys in the world. For $4, you get a great, solid, very old school style cigar.
Yeah.
Brown Label Miami is still, my go-to, no matter what. I've been able to build old inventory of a lot of cool, fun Brown Label Miami stuff. Our factor right now is to make sure that we're producing the stuff that's moving very quickly. But I was able to, before the pandemic hit, I was able to stockpile a lot of cigars ready to go for small batch releases that I'm doing. Hopefully, once the box maker delivers the boxes, hopefully by the end of the year, early next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You good?
Yep.
All right. Let's move into this week's next segment. Let's move into this week's Smokabulary word. And as always, guys, Smokabulary is brought to you by AJ Fernandez. Born and raised in Cuba, AJ Fernandez now produces unparalleled premium cigars in Esteli, Nicaragua. The day-to-day operations at Tabacalera AJ Fernandez are managed under the watchful eye of Mr. Fernandez himself in order to ensure superior quality. The AJ Fernandez portfolio of premium cigars provides blend, strength, and flavor profiles to match the preferences of any premium cigar consumer, whether it's New World, Dias de Gloria, San Latano, Enclave, or Bellas Artes. You are sure to be satisfied with a premium cigar from AJ Fernandez. So this week's Smokabulary word is binder.
Then when your underwear gets all
that's when the underwear just gets right up in there. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary.
Cigar binder.
Cigar binder, yeah. So Pete, last time you were on the show, we didn't have this segment yet, but it's just we choose a different word each week that is either exclusive to the cigar industry or has been repurposed and has a different meaning in the cigar industry. So, and one cool thing about the My Father factory that I was able to learn from you guys when I was there is that it's one of the few factories that does a double binder. So give us a little bit of an idea of the benefits and reasons behind doing a double binder on a hand rolled cigar.
Yeah, a double binder on everything from the least expensive cigar to the most expensive cigar. It really adds structure and complexity. At the end of the day, it's really about the complexity of the smoke and getting those nuances throughout the cigar. Adds a lot of flavor, and you're able to, a lot of our cigars we utilize similar binders in the sense of, okay, one might be Criollo and one might be Corojo, but on occasion you could trip up that mess and maybe add like San Andreas as one of the binders or broadleaf as one of the binders, which actually will add a lot of flavor and complexity into your blends. I thought we were talking about book binders, but okay.
That's
Well, we've got a friend of ours that actually does that. He's got his own business, and he goes to different counties and cities, and their historical books that are in rough shape. He rebinds those books for them.
Yeah, that's a real job, actually.
Yeah,
right.
I've utilized people like that before, so yeah, that's a big thing. I have a buddy of mine who's a rare book dealer, and every time I need something done for, like, I have an old book that I want to get rebound, I go to him. So
yeah,
and he has his person.
Yeah,
it's an art. It's an art.
It is absolutely. For the cigar binder, is there ever a time that you or anybody that you can think of would choose to use binder leaves specifically for combustion properties and not so much for that have maybe more of a neutral flavor profile?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, there are a lot of binders. I won't go into specifics, but there are a lot of binders that are made, and a lot of single binding companies that will literally use the binders purely for combustion.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk bad about a binder. There's some binders that I just refuse to use, and some tobacco seed varietals that I'll refuse to use. And I'll just say this, that there's a tobacco seed varietal that's been used for binder very heavily, but I think it's a cheap piece of leaf that's only there for combustion.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I won't mention it either. So
yeah, but yeah, I mean, you need that component in there. But I think, with the Garcias, we choose to focus on the Cuban seed stuff.
Yeah,
that give you a lot of flavors and a lot of complexity. It's the trip up one when I said, like, you switch out a binder for broadleaf for San Andreas to give you a little bit more kick and oomph or flavor, complexity. There are some circumstances. Well, for us, we won't use the same seed varietal as one of the two binders. We won't use Corojo and Corojo. It's always got to be different.
Yeah.
We'll also make sure that the dominant binder isn't the same varietal as the wrapper.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because there is that inner binder that touches the wrapper leaf a little bit more. That's the one that we will make sure that is not the same varietal as the wrapper.
Because that would have to be, I mean, the only term.
It's really about the tobacco fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Juxtaposition.
Hey, look,
I love that word.
Pulling out the big the big smokabulary.
Smokabulary. That's some smokabulary right there.
All right. That was this week's smokabulary word, brought to you by AJ Fernandez. And now it is time for
Numero de los Muertos. All right, Pete, I don't know if you remember last time.
The first time you were on the show, we didn't.
We did.
Oh, we did have this segment.
Yeah, you did.
We did.
It was early. But let me do the copy first. Numero de los Muertos is brought to you by Oveja Negra Brands. They bring you premium smoking experiences forged from tobacco, time, and talent. Comprised of Black Label Trading Company, Blackwork Studio, Dissonant, and Emilio, Oveja Negra Brands provide smokers uncompromising blends renowned for their flavor and lasting impression. Oveja Negra, where art and tobacco collide. Join the flock. Visit ovejanegracigars.com to learn more. All right. The number this week is 330 a year in the U.S. 330 people die from this every year. And this isn't a CDC number. That's my first.
330.
330 a year in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And as always, viewers on YouTube.
Smallpox.
That might be a good guess. It's not the answer I'm looking for.
Syphilis.
We did that a couple months back.
We did that as an answer on the show, not we didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't
We didn't do that.
330.
It is not food poisoning.
Yeah, I got nothing for you.
So
is it an illness or a sickness?
No.
Is it a
let's say a spider bite.
Ooh, that's a good one too. It is not spider. It is
Snake
not.
bite?
It is not rock climbing. It is not animal related.
not food poisoning?
Not
rock climbing falls. Is it related to
tripping?
Tripping.
Ooh, that is a good guess. I should look.
Now,
that
when
one
you
up.
say tripping, do you mean tripping or do you mean
tripping?
Oh yeah, I should have. Yeah. Well, now that'd be drug related. So
yeah,
is it drug related?
It is not drug related.
Okay.
Alcohol?
No.
Tobacco?
Workplace related?
It is not. So another clue is more than likely these people have a heart condition.
Oh, I think I know what it is.
Is it acromegaly?
What is that?
That's what I have.
Oh no, it's not that. I think
Look
I know
it up. That's what Andre the Giant had.
Oh, is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the enlarged heart situation?
Everything, all your organs get enlarged.
Wow.
Yeah.
Josh Jones.
That's what I was. Josh, I held back because I wanted one of our viewers to have the answer. Scared
Really?
to death.
Yes.
Frightened to death. When you said what you said, and also knowing who our guest is,
right,
and knowing that we're talking about monsters. And
so it's a heart condition thing, really, because you have a heart attack and die.
Technically, it is a heart attack, but from being scared to death. Yep.
Well, that's a trip.
Yeah, 330 people. So
was that has that been Snoped? I mean, like.
So there has been a couple universities that have done studies. That's why it didn't come from the CDC. Most of all of my numbers, I do a deep dive and figure this out. And 330 is actually an average of two different studies done. One found more in the neighborhood of 500. The other found in the neighborhood of 200 and something. And the average came up to be 330. So,
wow.
So somewhere between 200 and 500 people a year die from being scared, but majority of those people had a heart condition.
Okay, that's better, because there's been times where I've been in haunted houses where I thought I was gonna die. I love them. I start laughing, but I think it's maybe like I'm gonna die from laughter.
Well, and I learned early on that I can't go to haunted houses. Well, I've gone, and but what happens is my fight
you
reflex.
piss yourself.
No, I punch the people.
Fight or flight, and you're a fighter.
I am, and I tried to go, so I went the first time and I punched a guy and I felt terrible, and then the second time I went, I knew, I was like, okay, I can't punch people, and I punched a guy in a Jason mask, and it hurt my hand so bad. I was like, okay, I just can't do these anymore.
Yeah, I have a similar. I need, by accident, just because I was scared shitless, but I need a guy in the balls who came at me at a haunted house once.
Yeah.
And I was maybe 12 at the time.
Well, there was a different time though, because back when you were 12,
Yeah.
they could actually grab you.
Right. Yes.
And now they can't touch you. So now it's just like, unless there's some fucking raving lunatic that works at the haunted house that's really there to do damage on people, then yeah, you're pretty safe in every haunted house.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, if you watch the movie Haunted House, you might think differently.
Exactly.
All right, that was this week's
Numero de los Muertos. Oh, that was very
fun.
good. Very good. All right. So this is new since you were on last time, Pete. It's a lightning round of non-cigar related questions. If you could choose to hear the thoughts of one living person for 10 minutes, who would it be and why?
No, I'm not even going to go into that one. It's an election year, man. You got to be careful what you say. Okay, one person living or living in
living
dead?
person.
Living person. Yeah, man. I would probably pick Pepin, and only if I could hear his thoughts in English. Let's retract all that. My wife.
Oh,
ooh,
wow.
Brave man.
You are way braver than I am. I don't have.
I want to know how much shit talking she's saying about me.
All right. If
can we go deeper on that though?
Of course.
My dog. I would really love to know what that dog is saying.
Great.
That's a great answer. That's the first time for that answer. I like that.
I do too.
We have the two dogs now, and Oscar, who's the big lab pit bull mix. His thoughts would be pretty simple and pretty quiet. Yeah, his thoughts would be just where's the food? And Ruby, who's our new tiny little dog, I wouldn't even be able to decipher it. It would be like 4,000 words a minute. So yeah, there's no way I'd be able to.
Well, we just spayed our dog, our girl, about now it's I think 3 weeks ago, and during the last 3 weeks, I would have loved to know like how angry she was at us.
Yep.
Because she, oh my God, dude, what a nightmare. I mean, we took her back to the doctor like 3 times to do every test in the book to make sure that everything was okay. And it'd be nice to just hear them talk to you.
Yeah.
Did she have to wear the cone of shame?
No.
Okay.
Surprisingly enough, she didn't have to. She's very good when it comes to that. She doesn't go deep diving.
Yeah. All right. So next question. If you were about to get into a fight, what soundtrack music would come on?
Well, dude, it's always Rocky, right?
That's the very, very popular answer.
That's the most popular. Other than that, it would have to be like soundtrack. It would probably, I don't know, Rocky, of course, but then Star Wars.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of epic, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So choose one of the following. You could hit a home run as a starting pitcher. You could score a touchdown as a defensive lineman, score a hockey goal as the goalie, or score a soccer goal as the goalie.
Soccer goal as the goalie.
Yep, that is
Quickly becoming
the most popular answer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the distance.
Yeah.
the distance and the
Exactly.
rarity.
Yeah.
Because if you're in the major league and you're a pitcher, you better be able to hit a home run, first of all. That's the bottom line for me. I don't care. You were a baseball player before you became a major league baseball pitcher.
Yeah.
That's true.
You were supposed to hit a home run in Little League, in college, and all that shit. So there's no excuse there. I think pitchers in the major league become lazy and they go, I'm a pitcher. I don't have to do shit.
I throw the ball.
That's a great point.
I get to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And they have strong arms, so you think
Mhm.
they'd be able to crank the ball, right?
Yeah.
The hockey one's awesome.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's also another, there was between the two, but as soon as you said the soccer thing, I was like, okay, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to do our notable smokable of the week. And we did this last time you were on the show, Pete. For notables this week, I had a little sort of my own personal celebration because I hooked up a big heater in the garage here because, of course, in Minnesota, it gets really freaking cold. So hooked up a big heater with natural gas and electric and the venting system and all this stuff, and finally finished that, tested it this week. It works. So grabbed a Padron Black Label, the Padron 89 Black Label.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
The big, it's slightly fatter ring gauge one that they put in the CRA. There's a CRA sampler pack that has that one in there, and it's
yeah.
I mean, it's just a really, really good cigar. So I fired that one up a few days ago to relax after finishing that heater install. That's my notable of the week. Pete, is there anything interesting you smoked recently that kind of caught your attention?
Outside my brand, no.
Okay.
Honestly, I will say this. The Fonseca by my father, the Cosacos, is one of my favorite cigars. And Cigar Aficionado, rated it 88 points today. And, I really started questioning my palate. Because I love that cigar.
Yeah.
Out of all the lineup, that's the one I kind of gravitate more towards.
Yep.
And I was actually literally blown away that it got 88 points. I was like, I told multiple people before today that it was my number one cigar of the year.
Well, it's interesting because I named that as my notable a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Because I pre-ordered a box of that Coseco size, and when they showed up, I think I have 3 left.
Yeah.
From that box. I've been smoking so many of them. It's maybe the best, in my opinion, the best new My Father cigar in the last 5 years. I think it's
I think it's a special cigar.
Yeah.
I was really, really blown away with the rating.
Yeah, I think it's a great, and I haven't smoked the other sizes yet, but that Cosecos is wonderful. So I'll say that.
Yeah, out of all of them, I think that's the one that I'm partial to. The little Petit Corona, which got the high rating today, is very good. The Robusto, which I always enjoy Robustos, I actually find that I prefer the smaller ring gauges better. So, but all most of the smaller ring gauges got the lower ratings, which were, I'm like, wow, man, I gotta maybe refresh my palate or something if I'm missing something.
Well, now that I've heard that rating, I am actually curious to go out. I was already curious, but I'm more curious now to go out and pick up a handful of the other sizes and try them too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For me, it was the Fratello Robusto.
The original, the red.
Yep.
I haven't had a Fratello in a while. The last one I had was at a shop here in town. But I think Omar does good stuff. I think he's got some good cigars out there.
Yeah, it was just it was unique from anything that I've smoked over the last week, and stood out. It was a great cigar.
Nice.
Yeah, the original Fratello, that's a winner right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good factory.
Yes.
Everybody knows where it comes from.
That makes sense.
In the early days, he refused to tell you where it was coming from.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's funny to me how many.
Yeah, dude. He actually straight up to my face one night. I said, "Where's it being made?" He goes, "Can't tell you." I go, "Get the fuck out of here." It was a long time ago, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if people don't want to tell us, that's fine. We've had people on the show who choose to not tell us which factory their cigars are being made in. If they don't want to tell us, that's up to them. I just don't understand it.
Mhm.
Well, he had a contract early on that he wasn't allowed to say.
Okay. Well, then in a case like that makes sense.
That's lapsed, obviously, and now he can proudly say where he makes them. But early on, it was just like, oh my God, this big guy won't tell me where their cigars are made.
Why won't you just tell us it's Plasencia?
All right. So, guys, coming up in the next few weeks, give us an idea of what is happening. Next week on the 20th, we're going to talk to Spencer Drake from La Familia Robina. And on the 27th, we are going to talk to Christopher Moore from Carolina Blues Cigars. And then into the first week of November, on November 3rd, we're going to talk to Abe DeBabna, Honest Abe himself from Smoke Inn. And he's this will be a second appearance on the show. He was on for a panel discussion that we had a few months ago. But he's going to talk to us all about the because of COVID, they're doing their big events virtually this year. So he's going to give us the lowdown on how that event is going to go down.
And their new podcast is blowing up too.
What's that?
Abe.
That's not new.
Well,
You mean KMA?
yeah. Well,
Oh, yeah.
but it has gotten a lot of growth in the last few
tons.
months.
Yeah, they've put a lot into it.
Yeah.
They've really actually put a lot into their production over the last last 6 months.
Yeah.
And it's really you're right about that. It's definitely blown up a lot, I think, in the last 6 months or so. So Pete, give us a final word, the best place for people to find out information, get the latest and greatest info from your brands, and a closing thought.
Well, yeah, we're really horrible when it comes to latest and greatest news. Usually people find out more stuff on Instagram, on my personal Instagram, than anything. And then it's usually the first media guy in the industry that hits me up that usually scoops it the quickest. Everybody has my email and my phone number, so it's usually when I post something, I get a text message or an email within like a couple of minutes from a few guys saying, "Tell me more about it." And I will say that the guys from Half Wheel have been pretty like badgering lately. So
I leave you alone, for the record.
well, it's an open invitation.
No, I
Trust
know,
me.
I
It's
know.
usually the guys that I told this to Coop years ago. Coop's like, I don't get enough from you. I'm like, Coop, here's my number. If you see me post something, text me.
Yeah.
Because that's you get it from the horse's mouth.
Yep.
That's always what I say. And it's easier for me. It's all about the instantaneous thing. You post it on Instagram, more people know about it, and that's kind of like my press release. We've never been good about press releases. I kind of feel cheesy putting them out, and I know they're needed, but at the same time, it's not what we do. So if I post a picture, I want people to hit me up, and it could be anybody. So if you need my number, you have my email automatically. But if you need my number,
It's
We'll get you that. We'll get you that after we get off the chat, and you can text me and say, "Tell me more about this."
Yeah. No, I've got your number. I choose to leave you alone because I know you're busy and have a lot of, like you said, a lot of other people texting you all the time saying, "What about this cigar?" So,
No, I mean, surprisingly enough, busy is. I think I've been more productive being home all this time. I mean, I'm the guy that reconciles our books every week, and I do that on Sunday morning. Before anybody is even up.
yeah.
I get on the computer and I reconcile everything, and like I'm done working for the whole week in like 15 minutes. So it's kind of great.
Yeah.
I mean, productivity, I think for everybody that works at home has been increased.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the crazy thing is that I know a lot of office buildings that are looking for people to rent space because people are working at home and actually being more productive. So
Yeah, it's that way for most people
Yeah.
that I know. So, Pete, it's been a great time. Another great show.
Man.
Just great time just chatting with you about pretty much anything we want to. That's one of the best things about talking to you is we can just talk about anything and we have a great time doing it. So thank you.
thank you. It's not about the cigars; it's about the culture. And
Yes.
Amen.
sometimes,
That's right.
talking about whatever comes to our mind is the best thing in place. So
Yes.
I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. All our viewers and listeners, thanks again, guys, for spending time with us this evening. As always, follow us on social media at HBT Cigar. If you have a question, email us right from the website at howaboutthatcigar.com. And until we see you next time, burn cigars.
Not bridges.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.